world, welcome back to another video. Twas the night before the day before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring except for me, because I was making a video and some hot chocolate and it needed stirring. In order to stay with the Christmas theme, I decided to review this book, A Snow Garden and Other Stories by Rachel Joyce. I also decided to drink some hot chocolate. For those of you who don't know, Rachel Joyce is the author of The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry and The Love Song for Miss Queenie Hennessy, which are both books that I love very much. I first saw this book on Jen Campbell's channel, and seeing as I also tend to like short story collections, I figured I'd give this a try when I came across it in the bookshop where I'm interning. There are 7 stories in this collection, and the idea behind it is that they feature characters who either didn't get to have their own story in some of Rachel Joyce's other work, so they were background characters, or they were cut out altogether. One nice little detail is that all the stories are connected in one way or another, some more obviously so than others. All the stories are set in basically the final week of the year. The first one starts just before Christmas and the final one is set on New Year's Eve. The fact that all the stories are connected gives the book kind of a Love Actually vibe. You can see that all the characters, you know, are passing through each other's tales and all the storylines are intertwining. One of the most important themes throughout the book, which is also mentioned in the foreword, is this idea that every person you meet has their own story, which is probably just as complicated as your own. This idea has always appealed to me, mostly because I can still very vividly remember the first time that I realised this, that I thought about this concept. I don't really have one favourite story in this collection, maybe because they're all so interconnected, but there are a few that stood out for me, and there are 3 in particular that I briefly want to talk about. The first one, called Christmas Day at the Airport, is a very obvious but very heartwarming interpretation, if you will, of the nativity story. It's about this lesbian couple who get stuck in an airport because of some kind of weather situation. One of them, Magda, is pregnant, very pregnant, and they're trying to make it home to her family because she wants her child to be born at home. But, you know, if you know anything about the actual nativity story, then you know what's gonna happen. The second one I want to briefly talk about is called The Boxing Day Ball, and the reason I love it so much in particular is because it features a very young Harold Fry, but another reason is because it gives someone who has known so much unhappiness a very happy backstory, and I love it when that happens. Finally, there is the final story set on New Year's Eve, like I said, called Trees. It's sweet and a little sad, but it does have a happy ending, or maybe a hopeful ending would be a better way to put it. I read most of this book on the train, on a train journey, but I found that because all the stories are quite similar in tone, I had to put it away every once in a while because I was still thinking too much about the previous story and not getting into the current story. The good thing about short stories is that they're short, so you can just take a break. Usually I prefer it when the different stories have a slightly different atmosphere or, you know, vibe, but in this case, I didn't really mind that much. All the stories are connected, so I do get it, and I guess a case could be made that, like Love Actually, it's all one big story with different aspects being highlighted at different times. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and you know, it didn't rock my socks, but I did like it a lot, and like Harold Fry and Queenie Hennessy, the story is very subtle and very layered, and the characters are very complex and realistic. In short, I definitely recommend this collection to anyone who likes short stories, and it's obviously the perfect read for this time of year. But because they're not overly Christmassy stories, like they're set around that time, but it's not all Christmas trees and baubles and food. My point is, I guess you could still read this in January or February and, you know, still enjoy it. Maybe have some more hot chocolate because you can never have enough hot chocolate. This is a fact of life. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas, and if you don't celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next time. Bye! Ding dong merrily on high, I hear the bells are ringing. Hosanna in excelsis.